Hi everyone, Norman here. Today I want to show you how to knit the brioche stitch. It's a super simple reversible pattern that only has a one row repeat and you only need to remember 2 stitches. So contrary to what a lot of people say, I think this stitch is perfectly suitable for beginners. Let's dive right into it. So let's get you started on the brioche stitch. Start by casting on an even number of stitches using a long tail cast on. As you can see, I do it around 2 needles, but you can use any other stretchy cast on you prefer. Maybe you prefer the 2 needle cast on. Then do that. The only thing you really should consider is that you need a slightly stretchier edge than normal, and you need an even number of stitches. Okay, once you cast on the required number of stitches, we can start with the actual brioche stitch. We need 1 preparation row and we only need to knit this once. So we will start with a selvage stitch and we will maintain this stitch here throughout the pattern. So we will, on the right side, we will always slip the first stitch purlwise with yarn held in front. And now we can start with the repeat for the preparation row. This is knit 1, then bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 stitch purlwise and add a yarn over. That's already the full repeat. So knit 1, bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 purlwise with yarn held in front, add a yarn over. Let's do that one more time. Knit 1, bring the yarn to the front, slip 1, add a yarn over. You can really speed things up because you can do the yarn overs and the slip ones in the same breath. So you bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 and add a yarn over in the same breath. Saw that? Let's do that one more time. Knit 1, bring the yarn to the front and slip 1 yarn over. Knit 1, slip 1 yarn over. So it's very, very simple. And you knit across in the exact same pattern across the whole row without, of course, splitting the yarn. And here the last stitch is going to be our selvage stitch and we knit that through the back loop. We turn around. Okay, so after this preparation row we can start with the actual brioche stitch. We are here on the wrong side, and on the wrong side we always slip the first stitch purlwise with yarn held in front. Bring it to the back, and now you will happen across these double stitches where the yarn over is sort of wrapped around this slip stitch. And these stitches you always knit together. And my yarn is slightly split here. Then you bring the yarn to the front and slip 1 purlwise with yarn held in front and do the yarn over at the same time. And then you come across a double stitch again and you knit it together again. So it's a very, very simple pattern. You always slip 1 purlwise with yarn held in front and then do the yarn over and knit 1 together. So you knit this precise pattern across the whole row. And as I said, this is just so simple. You don't need to split things up and do the yarn over separately. You can just combine the 2 stitches. And this is already the full repeat of the brioche stitch. Only here at the very end you need to pay attention that last stitch here on the wrong side we are going to purl. Then we can turn around and start here on the right side. On the right side we always slip the first stitch purlwise with yarn held in back, and then we can continue in the exact same pattern. That's the advantage of casting on an even number of stitches. The repeat, as you can see, doesn't change. It's always knit this double stitch together and then do a yarn over, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front. Some advanced tutorials will call this double stitch a brioche knit, often abbreviated as BRK, brioche knit. Well, I don't know. Split the yarn there. I don't know. I feel that it's kind of making things unnecessarily complicated. It's just a yarn over with a slip stitch. Now here the last stitch we knit through the back loop And again, this is already the full repeat for the brioche knit, and you can continue knitting across in this exact pattern for as long as you like. Only pay attention that you alternate the selvage stitches between right and wrong side row. And another thing you might need to consider is the brioche stitch starts out awful. So after 2 or 3 rows, this really looks like you did something wrong. The pattern will take like 6, 8, 10 rows to emerge, and I guess I'll see you there. So just read your knitting, and whenever you come across a single stitch, you slip it with yarn held in front and add a yarn over, and every time you come across one of these double stitches, you knit it together. Here on the wrong side, we purl the last stitch. Anyway, see you there. So, as promised, a couple of rows later, this beautiful brioche pattern starts to emerge. Same on the wrong side, so it's a fully reversible pattern. Please keep in mind, the brioche stitch is a form of double knitting. So it takes typically twice as long to knit and uses up almost twice as much yarn when you compare it to a similar project in, say, stockinette stitch. So always keep them in mind, but it's also going to be twice as soft and fully reversible. Once your fabric reached the desired length, you might wonder, well, how do I bind off? It's just as easy. So you can knit a standard bind off. And the only thing you need to remember is when you come across one of these double stitches, you knit them together and then you pass over. When you come to one of these stitches, you just knit them, so you don't add any more yarn overs, and just bind off. That's the only thing you need to remember. And if you stick to that logic, you can use any other bind off technique as well. It doesn't have to be a standard bind off. In fact, I would urge you to pick a stretchier bind off, because the brioche stitch is very stretchy. The standard bind off isn't very stretchy. So if you want to use the standard bind off, I would urge you to use at least a bigger needle. That should be something you keep in mind. Also, here you might see that these stitches appear as purl stitches, so you can also opt to bind off in pattern. So instead of knitting that stitch, you purl that stitch and then you pass over. These appear as knit stitches, so you knit them together and pass over. And then here these you purl again. So as a rule of thumb, I would say use a needle that is at least 1 or maybe 2 sizes larger, and then also consider binding off in pattern. This can also look quite nice, but a standard bind off or really just any other bind off will work as well. Anyway, that's how to knit the brioche stitch. Please comment below if you have any questions. My next video will show you how to fix a dropped stitch in brioche knitting, so definitely stay tuned. And as always, happy knitting and enjoy the rest of your day.